Hey y'all, so we're starting off barefaced today. I thought it'd be fun to just sit down and play with some new drugstore makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with moisturizer. I received this in the mail from Garnier recently. This is their new Glow Boost Illuminating Moisturizer. Made with apricot extract, made without mineral oil, parabens, silicones, and dyes. It says that it's suitable for all skin tones because it just gives more of like a dewy finish rather than an actual like tint. So here is the packaging. This whole vibe kind of reminds me of the Garnier BB cream from way back when. Do you remember that? So many people love that. I think there was like a matte version and then a normal version. I feel like there was one like in a kind of skin tone tube and then a green tube. That could be wrong, but I kind of think I'm right. All right, so here is the actual texture of the moisturizer. Not too thick, not too runny. It has kind of like a peachy pearl look to it. So I am just going to apply this all over. I don't have any other moisturizer on right now, minus eye cream. Okay, so the texture of this is nice. It seems to absorb into the skin nicely. It's not overly fragranced. There is a very, very light citrus scent. It doesn't feel oily or greasy, just kind of like a typical moisturizer. I'm still gonna go in with some sort of like primer or oil just because I really like extra hydrated skin. So this is one of the products that isn't brand new, but it's still pretty new. This was from the Wet n Wild Rose collection. This is their Photo Focus Rose Primer Serum. So it just has a little dropper applicator. Instagram drippage. Okay, so I'm just gonna do, why am I smelling the applicator? That was dumb. Yeah, I do smell like a tiny, tiny bit of a rose scent. Nothing too strong. Oh, it's not like as oily as I thought it was gonna be either. So if you do have oily skin and you like hate oily products, this isn't one that's as oily as like the Flowery Elixir or what's the other oil primer that I love? I can't think right now. If you guys are interested in primers though, I recently did a tour of my primer drawer and just talked about like all of my favorites in there. Ooh, yeah, this does feel nice. Not greasy at all. For eyeshadow palettes, I actually have several different options going on here. I have two of the quads from the Wet n Wild Rose collection that I was just talking about. I forget if there's 3 or 4, but these were the two that gravitated towards me the most, especially this one. I'm loving this pinky color in the quad called Bed of Roses. Then I have 2 palettes from Profusion. These are some of their newer palettes. These larger ones I believe retail for $12.99. You can find them at Walmart, Target, is it Walgreens? This is their new Paradise palette. There's some really lovely colors in here. Unfortunately, this arrived smashed. Well, just one of the shadows, this guy here. And then this is a palette that I've been testing out quite a bit and I've really been liking it. This is their Sapphires palette. This one only retails for $4.99. And I have to say, I've already been really impressed with the quality of several of these shadows. And right when I open this, it kind of reminds me of one of the Urban Decay On the Run palettes. This is the Detour palette. I mean, definitely not identical, but the same sort of color story going on. The matte camel shade in here is so pretty and blends like beautifully. I love it. I'm just gonna take one of the brand new Pacfica Natural Minerals Liquid Cover. Full coverage, lasting concealer. It's 100% vegan and cruelty free. I'm just gonna take the shade 20 NF, so something a little bit lighter and brighter, and pop some of that onto my eyes. And then to blend it out, I'm going to be taking one of my new favorite sponges. This I purchased from Target. It's from 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦. You can buy it individually for, I believe, $7.99 or in the double pack for $10. It has such like a good bouncy texture and it's freaking huge. Like you can cover so much of your face right away. I'm gonna start off with the Sapphires palette and take this shade right here called Mellow. It's just like the perfect type of brow bone shade for me. And I'm just gonna pick some of that up and pack that all over my eyeball. I have several of these Profusion palettes and I think they're definitely hit or miss. Some are amazing. Some of them, like half of the palette will be really good and then the other half will be like really chalky or just gritty. So then I'm gonna go into the shade Camel, which I think that name is perfect for this shade. This is such a beautiful transition color. I love it. So I'm just gonna pick some of that up and begin placing this right into the crease. Okay, now to just deepen up this area a bit. The only thing about this palette, I wish they would have sacrificed one of these blues because I feel like they're pretty similar. They're both kind of like metallic royal blues for like one deeper matte brown shade. For that, I'm gonna go into the Paradise palette And we'll take like a little bit of this, a little bit of this, maybe some of that. I don't know, just like right here in this rowage, we'll find some colors that make my heart happy. Who has been watching The Act on Hulu? That is one case where like, I can't quite figure out how I feel. I know there's lots of people that are like, free Gypsy Rose, and then other people like myself are like, I don't really know, because I mean, like, either way, murder is wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's cases that I see, this is about to make me sound like, I don't know, a very violent, vindictive type of person. But whenever it's crimes against like children or animals, it makes me sick to my stomach, and I wish nothing but the worst for that person. I know Jesus doesn't like that, but that's just how I feel. Obviously, hurting anyone, it should be off limits. But when it's a crime that involves like kids and animals, I lose it, and I automatically hate that person, and I have like no sympathy for that person. If you guys have not watched the case, basically there's this girl named Gypsy Rose. Her mother has Munchausen's by proxy, to where she's basically ruined this girl's life. She's been putting her on like medication for epilepsy. She removes her salivary glands. She has a feeding tube administered, all these things, and like says that her daughter has cancer. She goes through like treatments, all this stuff, when in reality, this girl, I guess, wasn't actually sick. Really, she has like a miserable life, which is terrible. But I'm like, is that still okay to murder your mom? Like, if you were capable of actually walking and you weren't wheelchair bound, like, why not just run away? I get that there's like this weird like psychological thing with it too. I don't know how I feel, because I'm like, you still murdered your mom. Like, why couldn't you just run away and tell the cops? I don't know. I'm sure some of y'all are watching right now being like, no, you're freaking heartless. You just said like you don't like crimes against children. But that is one that I just feel so weird about. Like, I can't decide how I feel. Like, I don't want you to think that I think the mom is right in any sort of way. Let's take a little bit of this deep burgundy from House of Thorns, just because that color looks absolutely beautiful. But aren't these oranges blending so nicely? And the palettes are so freaking cheap. All right, so this is just a MAC 217. I love this brush. If you have hooded eyes that are similar to mine, because I feel like there's all different styles of hooded eyes, the shape of this brush is perfect to really just kind of wedge in there and just like, that's what I picture my eyeball is hearing right now when that brush is doing that. So now I'm using the Bed of Roses quad, and I'm taking another kind of like plum burgundy shade and really just intensifying this outer corner. I have a bit of a mini rant. I hate being a negative Nancy, but this is just something that, I don't know, I wanted to say. I'm not gonna call out the person by name or anything, because who knows, maybe she didn't mean it as like negatively as I'm taking it, because I know when it comes to this topic, I can be sensitive sometimes. So yesterday on Instagram stories, I posted a picture that Facebook memories popped up of Landon when he was a baby, and said something like, oh, Facebook memories makes me wish that I could have another baby. Look at his bald head. So I think that was actually like the exact caption that I put on it. And, you know, most comments were like, oh, like, he's so cute, or I hate that you're going through that. And like, you know, other moms sharing their stories of infertility and things like that. In case you missed this video forever ago, I have premature ovarian failure. I realized there's like adoption and things like that. But this one girl commented like, you know, you should stop feeling so sorry for yourself, because there's some women out there who can't have any babies. Trust me, I know that, and I will be forever grateful for the fact that I have Landon. I'm more than happy and content with just having him. But, you know, like, there are days where I'm like, man, I really wish he had a brother or sister. And just, you know, whenever I think about my situation, obviously I have Keegan's family, I have my own family, but then thinking like, if anything ever happened to my parents, it's just me, you know, like, that's my last link to my parents. I have aunts and uncles and cousins, but when you have a sibling, it's different. You have, you know, a brother or sister to remind you of like, oh, remember when like we did this with mom and dad, or we did this or that. Like, I'm not gonna have that. And I don't want that for Landon. Like, that's something that makes me so sad, him not having someone after something happens to Keegan and I. You know, like, he won't have like a direct link to us. And that kills me, because I know what that feels like, and I hate that feeling. And so, I don't know, that person saying that just annoyed me, because while yes, like, I definitely have like heartbreak for people who can't have their own kid, like, that is devastating, especially, you know, when there's so many irresponsible parents out there who pump out babies left and right, and they don't even want kids, or they're giving their kids away, or putting their kids in a trash can. You know, it's like, why can't people who want kids have kids? And, you know, just because I do have one baby doesn't mean that my feelings don't count or don't matter, or that my feelings should be discounted. You know, those are just some of the things that suck about social media. I get that that was my choice to put that out there, and I'm gonna have to deal with like whatever people have to say, but I don't know, whenever like anyone posts anything on social media, whether it's like about their dog or a family member or something like that, and then someone has to say like, oh, well, you should be grateful for this or that. Yes, we know that, but it's like, we're allowed to have feelings too, you know? Ugh, I don't know. Okay, ran over. I'm not gonna go on about that. Oh, yes. All right, so I'm just gonna pack that on. Just pull it up a wee bit. That is a really pretty color. And I do have another sort of glitter product that I do want to go on top. I have another product from Profusion. This is one of their eye sparkler duo. So this one is in the shade Dazzle. You have a cream shadow stick, and then you have something that looks pretty similar to a Stila Glitter and Glow shadow. I mean, like even the packaging, right? The only thing is, at least for this shade, it doesn't have much of an actual base. This one is just more of a sheer base with just a ton of glitter. I'm curious to see though if the other shades, because there's like a black, I think there's like a rose gold. So I think I'm gonna have to order one or two and see if those have an actual pigmented base to them. Because if they do, I think I'd really like them. Go in with some of the Dazzle shadow and pop some of this right on top. I've already used this a couple of times, and I would say the texture and everything is pretty darn similar to the Stila ones. You don't have like the crispy, crunchy type of glitter. It takes about the same amount of time to dry. I don't have any issues with like fallout or anything with it. I'd say that it stays in place. The only thing missing is just that like pigmented base, but it's a really nice kind of eyeshadow topper. All right, for foundation, I'm going to be taking this new one from Pacfica. This is their A Light Clean Foundation. It's oil-free, anti-shine with a satin finish, 100% vegan and cruelty-free. This has 30 shades in the range. I believe it's $15.99 at Target, $16 at Ulta. Right now, Ulta is having a buy one, get one 40% off as well. It does come with a pump. You get right under 1 fluid ounce. You get 0.90. I'm going to be taking the shade 25WM, which is warm medium. There's hyaluronic acid, coconut water, and then rose leaf extract. Kind of has like a gel-like texture, not super runny, not super thick. We're going to apply some with a brush and with the 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦 sponge, just because I love this sponge so much. All right, let's just go ahead. There's like a very, very faint scent. I can't even quite pick it out. It's not like gross, but it's not anything like, oh, that smells super good either. It's not a distracting scent. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. All right, so let's just go ahead and pop this on. Hopefully this doesn't oxidize, because I feel like right now is a really good shade. I want it to cover redness. I want it to cover sunspots, but I don't mind if freckles peek through. All right, so far so good. See what I mean? Freckles are peeking through, but then everything else is kind of evened out and covered. I really do like the finish of it too. It's just like a very natural skin-like foundation. Right, so far I have to say I really do like the finish of it. It does have a nice like hydrating feel. It doesn't feel like it's just like sitting on top of my skin. It doesn't feel like slidey, slippy, or greasy. It is still a bit tacky though, so it just like manhandled that sponge. So it probably will be one that I set just kind of like on the lower jaw and a little bit on my forehead. So the concealer comes in 10 different shades. This one retails for $13. So it's just a doe foot applicator. $13 I feel like is kind of expensive though for a drugstore concealer. When it comes to drugstore concealers, I always think of like Maybelline Age Rewind, which isn't that one like $6.99? And I love that concealer. So I am gonna take a little bit on my forehead as well. I'm loving this combo so far. Okay, dang it, and there he goes with his lawnmower. I get it, you gotta get that money, but I'm like, could you not just wait just a couple more minutes? Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes since I applied the foundation, and I already have a bit of an update. I ended up powdering right here on the center of my forehead, the sides of my mouth, just because, well, like, I guess my lower jaw, because that's an area that my makeup always wants to move around. And then my smile lines, I definitely had to set. I didn't set those areas immediately, and whenever I came back to sit down, I could already see that that was getting very creasy. So if you have deep smile lines like myself, I always like to like puff that area out. and then just kind of give it a very fine dusting. For my bronzer, I kind of want to go in with a little bit of like the deeper concealer just because I love using like the Too Faced Born This Way sculpting concealer in a deeper shaded contour, but I might just go in with a powder contour today. And for that, I'm not using an actual powder bronzer. I'm gonna go in with a deeper shade of powder. I love these powders from the Full Spectrum CoverGirl line. It's the Matte Ambition All Day Powder Foundation. It just has a very nice, soft, silky finish. So I'm just going in with a nice fluffy brush. I'm just gonna pick up a tiny bit of it and just start lighter first, and then just really blend it out. Not everyone is a fan of like kind of the orangey bronze, but I don't know, I really like it. I feel like it just gives you that very nice sun-kissed warm glow. I'm gonna go in with this Aura Glow from J.Cat Beauty. This one is in the shade Moonlight. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of this on the back of my hand. Just go in with the sponge. I'm just gonna lightly pat the sponge in that and then just tap some of this. I love these highlighters. They're so pretty even just to like mix in with your foundation. They set down nicely too. It's not like a formula that moves all over the place. Like you apply it, you give it a minute to set, and it'll stay there. I went ahead and popped on some of my favorite lashes from the drugstore. These are just from Ardell. They're the Studio Effects in the Demi Wispies. They have Wispies in the Studio Effects as well, but I really like the Demi Wispies just because they just add some extra like flutter onto the outer corners, and I just love that. All right, moving on to my lips and these baby hairs that are all over my forehead. I'm gonna go in with the NYX lip liner. Is this Peekaboo Neutral or just Natural? Oh, this one is in Natural. Natural and Peekaboo Neutral are both some of my absolute faves. These lip liners are so cheap and they're amazing. They're just like the classic wooden pencils. I like these more than the retractable ones that NYX has. For my lipstick, I'm going to take one of the lipsticks from the ColourPop Spring, was it Spring Bloom? Sweet Talk, right? That was a spring collection. This is in Tea Time. Do I want this color? Maybe blot some of it on. I wonder if this is actually pink. Rimmel sent over some of their glosses yesterday. Oh no, it's not like a super milky pink. So this is their Stay Glossy Up to 6 Hour Shine lip gloss in the shade Dorchester Rose. So we're just going to, oh yeah, that's like the perfect lip top part. But here is the final look. Definitely more of just like a simple, easy, quick look, but I still really like it. I know I always gravitate towards these shades, but I was really interested in testing out these palettes. I can already tell you I love this palette. It's like my 4th or 5th time wearing it. I think the shadows perform great. Obviously not everyone is into blue shades, but for $4.99, I feel like it's still worth it even if you're just gonna use these and like the black. This is actually such a beautiful inner corner highlight whenever you go in with some of these blue shades because it has this really nice like pearly turquoise duochrome shift. For $4.99, I just think that's a total steal. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be sure to keep you updated in the description box about this foundation. I'm really hoping that it lasts great all day because I really do like the finish of it. I know this like dewy glow isn't for everyone. Some people like a full coverage matte finish, but I'm definitely more of like a hydrated, natural type of glowy finish, so I feel like that foundation is right up my alley. Yeah, that is it for this drugstore look. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I would love if you gave me a thumbs up. It just helps me and my channel out. Let me know what other videos you guys would like to see this week. As always, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If you haven't already and you guys would like to hang out more, be sure to hit the subscribe button, or you could always go by and check out some of these videos here. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Bye.